Mango Math presents Dots and Boxes, a pre-algebra game. Dots and Boxes is a pre-algebra game that covers the math strand of measurement, and it's a pre-algebra game that focuses on ratio and using ratio language to describe a relationship. Dots and Boxes has some math terms to help increase understanding, and those terms are percentage, a number out of 100 or a part of 100. Ratio, showing the relationship size of two or more values. They can be shown in different ways. Part-to-part ratio is a ratio of one amount compared to a separate amount, such as 1 girl to 6 boys. And there's a part-to-whole ratio that has a score of 1 out of a total of 6. May be written as 1 out of 6 or as the fraction 1/6. The supplies that are provided in the pouch, along with your information sheet and directions, is a Dots and Boxes game board, a dry erase marker, and eraser. To play this game, the students will start with their Dots and Boxes grid. Now the grid that's provided is quite large, and so they can break it into a smaller square or rectangle. So they can cover a space that is like this, or another space like this one. So any space they want to cover is fine if they want to make it smaller so that the game goes faster. Or they can use the whole grid, which will take a little bit more time. Once they choose their grid, this one is a 6x6 grid, they're going to write that down on the board. They're then going to draw line segments, and one child's darts goes first, and then they alternate turns. So one will draw a line segment, another will draw a line segment, and so forth as they go along. They don't have to draw them right next to each other. They can draw them anywhere on the board, and they can be vertical or horizontal. And just keep adding line segments. They'll continue on until they have a board somewhat like this. They will then have an opportunity to start creating boxes, and they can create boxes anytime they want, as long as one of the players does a third line to then have the fourth player draw a line to create a square, and then they can put their initial in the square, and as long as they've made one square, they get to go again with their line segment. They drew another line segment, they get to put their initial in again, and they get to draw one more line segment, and then it becomes the other player's turn, and they can create their line segment anywhere they want to on the board. So play continues with like this until they've got a lot more going on the board. And you can see that player number D made a square up above, and he's done that, and he has to draw one more line segment. So he draws one more line segment, but this then creates a box for player number M, who puts in another line, creates another line to create another box, another line for another box, then another line for another box, and one more line for another box. And you see they can go on a bit of a roll as they're making their boxes. So the play continues until once the students have filled in this full board, they can then write down the ratios, and they can write it down as part to part or part to whole. So if you're doing part to part, you would count up all of the yellow or D's and all of the reds, and you would have 16 of them being yellow and 20 of them being red, or you can reduce it down to 4 parts of it are yellow and 5 parts of it being red. You could also write it down as part to whole, which would be 16 out of 36 or 4 out of the 9 are yellow, and 20 out of 36 or 5/9 of it is red. And if you're looking at percent wise, it would be a 56% of them are red compared to the yellows. So this is a way for kids to break it down into ratios and into percentages. So they can do that after they're done playing the game. Some guided questions promote critical thinking. What strategies were used when filling in the line segments? Is there any benefit to going first? Did the size of the grid make a difference on the success of the game? And was the percent different when it was part to whole versus part to part? So you want to have the kids play this game numerous times. And with these questions, you want to try different size grids and seeing if it makes a difference on who went first, on who ended up winning. So they can record some data to find out those answers. So it's a great activity. Doesn't take that long to play, but it takes a lot of thinking. Enjoy.